We are officially recording now. Andrea, I'm going to mute you. Maybe. Hang on. Oh, there you go. Okay. So if anybody wants to shout someone out, it doesn't have to be someone that's on the call tonight. It can be someone who will be watching the replay, because that's still exciting to hear your name being shouted out by someone. I'll start since I'm already unmuted. I want to shout out, I think I already shouted this person out, or someone shouted her out last week, but Andrea's already at SC4, which is pretty awesome. She's been coaching for, has it even been 2 weeks? And you're already at Success Club 4? Something like that. I mean, she's just blowing it out of the water. She's like determined to make something of this. And she came up with a team name for her own team, which is really important to start identifying yourself, you know, as a team builder. And then I also want to shout out Lindsay Kennedy, who is another new coach of mine. She has already helped, I believe she's in the process of helping 3 people, but 1 purchase has definitely gone through, and she just welcomed them to our Countdown to Summer group. And then my newest coach, Michelle, she just announced publicly today that she is a coach now. So I'm excited for her. She got over that scary little hump and she's ready to roll now. So that's fine. If nobody else wants to shout anybody out, Mandy, you can take it away. Oh,
there you go.
There you go.
Okay. I think we got it. So, mind my screen here. I'm on my phone. It's bouncing on a roll of paper towels. So, so I'm going to talk about today the 4 tendencies, and Lindsay and I created a free group using this, and it's been really successful. We're only in the first week, but it's like another level of forming people where you can get to know your challengers a little bit better. And then it's been really useful in learning about how to use these strategies to develop habits for myself, for habits for my business, as well as, you know, the healthy habits that we're trying to emulate for people. So how this all came about was Gretchen Rubin's the author of a book called Better Than Before, and we've been basing our group around this book. And Gretchen Rubin's the lady who wrote The Happiness Project, if you've ever heard of that book. She took an entire year and spent 1 month out of each 1 month she spent working on like one habit or one thing she wanted to change to make her life happier, better. And it was more in terms of like general contentment. And it's just snowballed from there. And she's really become kind of a happiness habit expert. And so when she was looking at people's habits, she was noticing that there wasn't a framework for it. She looked at all the research. There really wasn't anything to kind of guide why some people do really well in certain situations developing a habit and other people don't, or why you personally may do well in one situation and then not another. So this is what she came up with, specifically around expectations. So she separates it into inner expectations and outer expectations. So your inner expectations are things like your like a New Year's resolution that you want to get healthier, something like that. And outer expectations are something that your spouse might ask of you, or your job, or society is in general. So I'm not quite sure if you can kind of see this, but there's 4 different areas, and you took the quiz most likely, or can take the quiz that I posted earlier. So it would put you into one of these 4 categories. So an upholder does well in both areas, in both inner and outer expectations. A questioner does well, oops, sorry about the dog, with the inner, but not the outer. An obliger, hey, can you get the dog? Sorry. just call her over and hold her. It's okay. Just call her over and hold her. An obliger does well with outer expectations, but not as well with inner. And finally, rebels struggle with the inner and the outer. Yep, I think we have a lot of obligers in the group, and coaching is perfect for obligers because it helps you to kind of become a role model and set that outer accountability. So it's perfect even just be a discount coach and post about that. So the whole premise of all of this is to get to know yourself, because we do best when we know who we are so we can plan and support ourselves, and to embrace yourself. So it's not to be like, ooh, I'm a questioner and I overanalyze things, or I'm an obliger, I only do things that other people want me to do. It's not about like beating yourself up over which category you fit in. It's more, this is what works for me and this is what doesn't. So let's plan for success by using this information. So I'm going to go into detail a little bit about kind of the strengths and weaknesses and a little bit about each area. And it's important to know all of them because you may be an obliger, but you're married to an upholder, or your challengers may be, one and you're not the other. So it's really important to know a little bit about all of them. So upholders, they're self-directed, very disciplined. They can be self-demanding, self-commanding as well, and productive. But then they also, it's difficult for them to break a rule. They may be kind of rigid and not flexible. They may be judgmental about other people and not really understand why people just can't follow the rules and do things the way they're set out. Things can be kind of bureaucratic with them. They expect you to go through a certain system, which that may not work well with some of the other tendencies. They might stick to a habit at all costs. It could be like very limiting and tightening for them because they tend to kind of stay in the box. And upholders are very sensitive to criticism, but they feel that discipline brings them freedom because they follow all these systems and then they know what to expect and what's going on, and that seems to be freeing for them. So the next category is obliger, and most people are obligers, which I'm an obliger. And an obliger is someone who does what's needed, does what people expect of them to do. They're very cooperative, very willing to please. They get along with most people. They fit well into all different situations because they are cooperative and willing to please. It can be a bit frustrating to be an obliger because if you're always doing what someone else expects of you and then you're not doing what's important to you, you're not doing that inner accountability, then you can get angry, feeling resentful. You can feel sad about this and kind of create like a martyr kind of syndrome type of thing. And so sometimes what happens is you get something called a obliger rebellion, where you keep giving and giving and doing, and then you kind of dramatically something happens where you explode, get fed up with it. So it could be a type of situation where you're just like, I'm done, I quit, or something else like, you end a friendship or something like that because you're tired of this needy person, even though you like them, but because you're always accounting for their neediness and not doing your own, you really can't tolerate it anymore. So that's something to be mindful of, to set yourself up so that you're getting your inner needs met, so you don't have this obliger rebellion type of situation. The next category is a questioner, and this is the second most common. So most people are an obliger or a questioner, and then the rebels and the upholders are on the sides, is more rare. So questioners need to know the reason behind what they're doing. They need to know the why. They can suffer from analysis paralysis because they keep researching and digging too deep and then never make a decision. So having a specific deadline is very helpful for questioners. They really like research, data. Things have to make sense for them. They're very inner directed. They tend to question authority, which can kind of cause some issues sometimes. These are the people who send you all kinds of articles and research and why you should have healthy habits and all these different things, because they're very interdirected and it needs to make sense for them. So the people around a questioner may get kind of tired of all the questions, or the questioner could feel drained or exhausting because they need all this information, and just something simple as, picking out a new pair of shoes requires a lot of research for them, so it can get kind of draining. And then they can also be misperceived as not being a team player because they tend to ask people in authority a lot of questions, or they may undermine people who are in authority by asking all these questions and doubting things. The last category which is the smallest category, is the rebel. And rebels are really driven by not the inner expectation or the outer, but by how they're feeling at the moment, what they feel like doing, and what they kind of want to do. And for them, it gives them a lot of freedom, a lot of different choices. They're self-directed, they're very expressive, very spontaneous. They tend to be very authentic because they're doing what they feel in the moment. They're very independent. They can meet a lot of challenges, can be very determined, buck convention. So they tend to be people who think out of the box. They can also be very resistant, though, and seem uncooperative. They aren't consistent. They are someone who might be difficult to supervise or give advice to or give it direction. And then even though they're very freedom focused, you can use like reverse psychology against them. So you could challenge them, oh, you'll never do that. There's no way you could do that. And they'll, yes, I can, watch me kind of thing. So they are kind of trapped in that sense, that area. So once you have those 4 different areas of your tendency, then we can break it down even further. And why you want to do this is so that we really get to know what works for you and what doesn't work for you when you're developing a habit. So there's different distinctions that these are especially important for a questioner. But you want to know if you're an early bird or a night owl. So if you have a challenger who needs, wants to work out, and they're a night owl, they're not going to be getting up at 4:30 in the morning. It just may never work for them because they're so much of a night owl. They may be a marathoner or a sprinter. So a marathoner does slow and steady, consistent, and a sprinter might do better with like a boot camp where they spend a few days really focused on one thing. They could be a finisher or an opener. So a finisher really likes to like check things off their list, whereas an opener may be, get excited about starting something new, but they may never finish it. Another area of distinction could be familiarity. So someone might like yoga and only want to do yoga, whereas someone else may do really well with like a 21-day fix because they like novelty. So they want something different each day. And then there's several areas for the pillars of habits. So these are things that really help you to develop your habits. So there's monitoring and scheduling, which are kind of self-explanatory. Monitoring is some way like journaling, checking off, things like that. Scheduling, putting it on your calendar. Accountability, like our groups. And then finally, the foundations of your 4 foundational habits. So these 4 foundations are 4 different areas where when you get these 4 areas in a good spot, you're able to be more successful because kind of your foundation is firm. So the 4 foundations are sleep, eating and drinking, exercise or moving your body in some way, and organization and clutter. And if you notice, most of these things, being a good coach, you need all of them. So that's a helpful thing for all of us. And then we need to look at our desire, our ease, and what potential excuses they are with creating a habit. So some people do really well with like the Lay's potato chip commercial, no one can eat just one. So some people do really well with abstaining and just saying, I can't have dessert while I'm doing this. I just need to cut this out. Where other people can have just a little bit. So that's an area to look at if you may be an abstainer or not. Convenience. I remember someone posted, I think it might be Sarah, that they go to sleep in their workout clothes because it helps them to guarantee to get up in the morning because you're already dressed and you made it convenient for yourself and you're energized and your breakfast all set up. So that's something that you plan for convenience. Safeguards. These are areas where you plan to fail. So if your program that you're planning to do happens to be over the Memorial Day holiday, you might plan to fail during that picnic, and that's okay. That's part of your habit that you're planning. Loophole spotting. Loophole spotting is an area where you know that, like with starting a new program, you could say, I'll start it on Monday, or I'll start tomorrow, or something like that. So you know that that's a loophole for you. So you want to plan to give yourself, that loophole to kind of take it away for you. Or maybe, you're trying to cut out sugar, but you use the loophole of fruit, that you tend to eat a lot of fruit when you cut out sugar, and that's not really what you want to be doing. So those are different areas that you want to be aware of and be aware of for your challengers. Let's see, distractions. So, maybe you've noticed that you don't get a good workout when your kids are there. So you might want to decide to get up earlier before your kids so that distractions are out of the way. Like some people who are writing a book might go to a coffee shop to write their book. Another thing is a reward. So when you're done your 21-day fix, you may go buy yourself some new workout gear for finishing that up. Another area is pairing. So maybe you wanted to make sure that you do more stretching before you start your workout, or before you go to bed at night. So then you decide, while I'm watching TV, I'm going to be sitting on the floor. So then you pair the stretching with the watching TV, and then you're more likely to do that. Or in terms of coaching, you could say that every time I watch my Tuesday night show, I'll be messaging people at the same time. So then you associate that Tuesday night show with getting your invitations out for the week. And the last one for this group is treats. So the difference between a treat and a reward is something that you do when you've finished your habit or you've finished an area, whereas a treat is something like you plan to do for yourself all the time. So let's say that you're going to, every afternoon, you're going to set aside some time to write out things for your business. So you have that block in your day every day, but then on Saturday, you're going to go treat yourself to a movie. And then you plan on every Saturday during that block of time, to treat yourself. And then the following, the next area is to plan for your uniqueness or sameness of your habits. So this is areas where you may be very different from people, or you may be the same as other people. So the first one is other people. So habits tend to be contagious. So when you're trying to change your diet and exercise habits, you want to hang out with the people who are also doing the same thing. So you don't want to go out with your friend who tends to go to a restaurant and kind of binge on all kinds of junk food. You want to go with the people who are having the same habits as you. Clarity. So you want to give very specific detail of what habit you want to change. You want to kind of make it measurable and specific. And then identity. Identity is an area that works well for rebels. So you could say something like, I want to be a fit mom. So that might help you get past some things that may be limiting for you, because you want to be a fit mom and be a good role model for your kids. So then what I'm going to do is, so we know what all of the different areas are to build a good habit, and we know the 4 different tendencies. So I'm going to give the best strategies, the 4 top strategies for each area. So for upholders, scheduling, clarity, monitoring, and pairing work best. For an obliger, accountability, monitoring, other people, and treats work best. A questioner does well with clarity, monitoring, distinctions, spotting loopholes. And finally, a rebel does well with identity, clarity, convenience, and other people. So to sum it all up, to the upholders in the group, I know you'll love using this framework, and thank you in advance for helping the team and the challengers with it. To the obligers, I'll check in and see how you're doing with this and see how it's helping your business. To our questioners, the book is better than before. She also has the 4 tendencies. You can go on her website for her free podcast and all her information. And for our rebels in the group, use this if you'd like, or whenever you feel like it, or whenever you think it's best, or not if you don't like it. So that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
It looks like there's a question from Lindsay, and yeah, the ending of that was just like so good.
I know it was a lot of information, so
I was taking notes on me though, because I think it's so important to know.
It is. It's been
yourself.
Yeah, it's been really so helpful, and I've gotten so much feedback. We have about 25, 26 people in the group, and most are actively engaged. I would say only 5 or 6 aren't actively engaged, and even those people have responded to things. And I'm getting messages, like my very first challenger just messaged me last night and said, thank you so much for this. She found she's a rebel. A questioner, and she found that she would plan and research and then never do any of the workouts or anything she wanted to do for her health and fitness. So she's getting the books and diving in deeper into, what it entails to be a questioner. So I found it's like another level of forming. So you get to know the person, but this is a level of like habit forming. And so by doing it in this free group, when the people are ready to, become a full challenger, those that, aren't already, I'll have all this information about them. Like I already know what people like to, who like to do yoga, what their pitfalls are with food, the people who are already doing well with exercise but are struggling with nutrition. Like I'm getting all kinds of good information on people and what their habits are, which is really helpful.
That's awesome. There were a couple of questions in the chat box. Do you want me to read them to you?
Can you read them? I don't know how to get to them on my phone.
Oh yeah, it's difficult on your phone. It says, can you go through the last bit again, please? I'm definitely an obliger. So I'm thinking she wants you to talk about what works for an obliger.
Sure.
Exactly. Right.
So I can go into a little bit more detail.
Thank you.
An obliger does well with accountability, monitoring, other people, and treats. So accountability is more like someone who's kind of more like in charge, like a coach or a boss. Whereas other people is when you have a workout partner, or Zoom calls where you're checking in, so that's what the difference of those two are. And monitoring is, checklists, food journal, those kind of things. And then the treats are the example that I gave, you do your workout every day at this time, and then on Sundays you read a book. That's kind of your treat, your like scheduled reward. It's not like a reward is something you work up to, whereas a treat is I'm going to treat myself to, a manicure at this time instead of doing a workout on Sunday.
I love that. I've always thought of like, I don't know. I haven't ever thought about it that way. And I've always thought like you reward yourself with a cheat meal. And
but there's so many different ways to reward yourself. But what was the one? The safeguard planning is where you're going to have to go to some event or whatever. You're planning to fail, planning to cheat in that area. And I liked that because it kind of gave you permission to, do what you ordinarily wouldn't do. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really helpful too. There's just so much information in all of this. and I wasn't even able to share all of it. I just didn't want people's minds to kind of blow up. So
Lisa asked what her podcast is called.
Happier.
Okay.
Happier. Yep.
All right.
And then there's also links to, I'm sorry?
Will you hold up the book so we can
I only do audiobooks, so I'll put the link underneath.
Okay, that would be awesome.
Unfortunately, I've got too many little kids. I never sit down. I fall asleep. So I listen while I do the dishes and that kind of thing.
I understand. So Lindsay had asked what are some good habits, but if you just link the book, that'll be good. She'll be able to read it.
Yeah, and then you can also go on the website and search. Like if you're an upholder, you can search information about an upholder, and she has all kinds of blog articles and podcasts specifically about each one. Or if you recognize that you have a challenger who may be a rebel and you don't know how to motivate them, she has different information on all of that you can go and find out more. And then there's also a resource area where there's a checklist that goes over all of these specific areas that you should plan for when creating and developing a habit. So she has a lot of really good information that you don't necessarily have to pay for.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Mandy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Does anybody have anything else they want to say before I stop recording? No? Okie dokie. Good night, everybody.
Good night.